Good morning everyone. Welcome for being here this Saturday morning with us here at My Story Facebook Live. This morning I am glad that I have Marshall here with me as we're going to talk about financial planning. For parents with children with special needs, we understand that financial can be one of the bigger burden, bigger concern, and your biggest worry when it comes to planning for your children, isn't it? On top of the usual day-to-day, parents also need to start worrying about the additional financial burden that you may have for your child. Okay, so let's have Marshall on this morning and let's get started. Marshall, good morning.
Hi, Chiling. Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone who is watching this lovely Saturday morning.
Hey, yes, definitely. It's bright and sunny over here in Subang. So, Marshall, maybe a quick introduction of yourself. How I know you was, of course, through one of the training. And
Yep.
I know you have been in financial industry for a long time. So let's take it from here. What do you do? Like, a quick introduction of you.
Yeah, maybe a one-liner. I'm a licensed financial planner. Licensed financial planner meaning I have license from Securities Commission to conduct financial planning activities. Right. So I have a slide later on just to briefly go through of what I actually do. So yeah. Charles?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we talk about briefly when it comes to parents with children with special needs. We talk about we generally know what's important when it comes to financial planning. So I'm glad that Marshall is willing to come on board and share with us his knowledge. Okay, you want to share your screen?
Yeah, sure. Yep. Let me know when you can see it.
Okay, I can.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Okay. So the topic that I prepared today is actually 5 ultimate steps to planning your finance. Okay, so ultimate sounds a bit it's like we cover everything, right? So basically, in my point of view, yes, these are the 5 steps that I think how this is like how can you be the CEO of your family. Okay. So maybe just I can run this through very quickly just to give you a heads up of what's coming up. So this is basically like the agenda for today lah. Okay. So number 1 is knowing your why. Why are you doing this? Number 2 is understanding your net worth. Like this is the very, very important number to remember, okay, in personal finance. Next, the next topic is actually something that I have actually that was inspired me, that I was inspired to talk about this topic 2 to 3 months ago. So it's actually about income. This is actually a topic that not a lot of people are actually talking about. And yeah, not a lot of, I believe not a lot of financial planners are actually talking on this topic as well. Okay, and then the 4th topic is contrary to the earlier topic. This is actually a topic that most financial planners will talk. Okay, but this is also a very, very important subject in this ultimate steps of planning your finances, which is protection, accumulation, and distribution. And last but not least is actually on how to monitor a periodic check to ensure everything is on track. Okay, so without further ado, a quick introduction of who I am. So I'm actually an accountant by training. So I was working in the corporate advisory field for the first 3 years of my career. So what I did was corporate restructuring. So corporate restructuring is actually something that is, what we do back then was we handle companies that are not doing so well, and then we take over the company and run that business. So this is a bit more of a liquidation and receivership. But right now, I stumbled into the world of personal finance, and my other experience, like I used to have a startup. I raised funds for my startup, and I was also invited for interviews on mainstream medias. And right now, I'm actually transitioning towards to be a no fee, no commission financial planner. What's that all about? Maybe I can also share with you a little bit. So I feel that financial planning is very important. It's actually very, very important. But the thing is, right now there are two types of financial planners out there. There are they are commission based and also fee based. Commission based, like whenever I sell you a product and then the principal company will pay me a money. This is commission based. Fee based is I will charge you a fee so that I can recommend whatever products that that's suitable for you. So I find that fee based is actually quite good. But the thing is, fee based is not a lot of people can pay that fee. Okay, so not a lot of people can actually afford that amount of fee. So I'm actually transitioning towards, if possible, I can be a no fee, no commission financial planner. So where do my income come from? I actually run another business, which I can also share with you later on. So this is something that I really hope that I can do. Running a business doesn't mean that I'm actually taking my focus away from personal finance. No, it's how I see it is that business can actually sustain my expenses so that I can provide a no fee, no commission financial advice to people who actually really need financial advisors service. Okay. All right. So before we got into that, let's make this session informal.
Sorry, Marshall. So when you put in no fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued with your idea about no fee, no commission financial planning and having another business to actually sustain you in financial planning. So does it mean that currently you're already on that mode, or you are transitioning? That means you're not there yet. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I'm transitioning. I'm not there yet. I have to be very frank with you. Yeah. Yeah. So
yes. Okay. Let's do share a little bit of your other business as well.
Oh, okay. So what happened was, during the last MCO, I think the first MCO, what I did was I started creating websites for financial planners like me. So how I started was, when I was in financial planning industry, I was also tinkering with websites, so to say. So I built my own websites. I learned how to build websites. By the way, I have no coding experience. I have no I'm not an IT graduate or what. I'm just an accountant, like I mentioned on this slide. I'm just an accountant. Okay. However, when I started the financial planning business, I started building websites. Okay, and I actually quite enjoy building websites as well. So it's quite fun that I can build something, and then in the end, someone will actually look into my website. So by the way, shameless plug, my website is PlanNerd. So PlanNerd.io. I'll share that link in the last slide. Anyway, yeah. So my other business is actually building websites for financial planners or financial professionals like myself, so that they can also build their own online presence. So how I built my own online presence was having at least a website and also starting to write blogs. And that's where I got to have the opportunity to be interviewed on mainstream medias. It's not like social media or what. These are mainstream media. So that's how I started. So I was thinking, why not I provide this service to financial planners, and then the income that I got from there, I can also sustain talking about personal finance in a more casual way, in less stress, and then not really product pushing. Hopefully it's not. Yeah, products are still very important, but at least I'm not pushing it. Right.
Right. Cool. I love that idea. I do believe that we should all strive for doing what we love, and all the money can come in various different forms.
Yeah. Right. So as I
Okay.
mentioned, hopefully this session is not too boring. It's not too dry. It's not like the normal, financial talk that with lots of figures. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to be very upfront. There will be some figures. It's just that I hope that there will be more questions and also more interactions from our audience from Facebook. All right. So
Right.
yeah.
We will, yeah. For those of
Mm.
you who have any questions, do type on the live chat so that Marshall can actually answer your questions later on or along the way. And yeah, we want to keep it informal. So let's have conversation. Otherwise, it's just both of us talking. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go through the rules of financial planning first. Okay, so this is actually a very, very important slide, so bear with me. The rules of financial planning is actually, there are no rules, okay? There's no one hard and fast way to, to plan your finances. There are many ways. Even financial planners do not agree with each other sometimes, okay? Every one of us have our own way of planning our finances. So whatever that you've seen later in this slide, it's actually just my own belief, and you may or may not adopt it. But the whole idea is actually, hopefully, it actually opens up your mind. And yeah, but one very important thing, like, it needs to be legal, lah. Okay, no rule doesn't mean you can break everything and do money laundering or things like that. Okay, what I mean is actually there's no one hard and fast rule to planning your finances. Okay, so without further ado, let's start with point number one, the why. Knowing why are you doing this. So before I start with this, maybe I can start with a quote by Stephen Covey, author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay, the quote goes like this: begins with the end in mind, means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It means to know where you are going so that you better understand where you are now, so that the steps you take are always in the right direction. Okay, I always love asking my clients, what's your end game? Especially after the Avengers come up with the title end game, it works. Yeah, what's your end game? What do you really want in life? Okay, so it's like plotting a map. Like, your life is actually your adventure, and your end game is like where you want to go. Okay, so look at the bright red cross there. Okay, so let's say that's your destination, that is your end game. Okay, knowing why is to know your destination, and actually, more importantly, stop and think, where do you want to go? Not everyone shares the same destination. Okay, so for myself, I know that my destination is very, very different from a lot of people. So whenever I do my business or whenever I work, I have a very different kind of approach towards my own work. And then it's not just the destination. Look at Jilin, can you see my cursor? I'm not sure if you can see my cursor. Give me a second. Maybe I bring out the pointer. All right. So yeah. All right. So basically, throughout this whole journey, it's not just the destination. It can also be the pit stops like this. Throughout your life, there's different pit stops. There's also a treasure chest, treasure jar, diamonds along the way. So it's not necessarily just having a final destination, but it's also understanding what are the pit stops. So understanding your why is very important. However, whenever I want to talk about why, my clients usually give me this look, the confused puppy look. All right. So this confused puppy look is like, huh? Most people will know that, hey, I know about my destination. I know where I want to go. But the thing is, they may not quantify it. Okay, you may know you want this kind of dream house. Everyone, maybe some of you may have your own dream house in your mind. Some of you may have your own, what you want to do or where do you want to go travel. But the thing is, not a lot of people will actually quantify it. So whenever I ask how much do you want, okay, they will give me this look, this confused puppy look. All right. So I'm going to give you an example. This is actually very important. Why this number is actually very important is because of this. Yeah, let's let's use a very easy example, kilometers. Instead of ringgit, let's use km first. So let's say if you're traveling from KL to say Port Dickson, PD, Malacca, or JB, okay? Roughly you know, or perhaps your GPS or Google Maps will tell you the distance, all right? So let's say if you want to go PD, it's 92 km, Malacca 145 km, or JB 330 km, okay? These are the distance. Why is it important to know this distance? Sometimes we take it for granted because distance is so easy already. GPS is there already. But why do we need to know this distance? Number one is to know when can you depart. Okay, so let's say if you do not know how far is JB, probably you depart way early. Maybe you say I need 2 days to reach by car. Okay, but it can also be you may over or you may underestimate the distance. You may start too late and you may not reach your destination in time. All right. So what happens if you can't reach in time? So you may need to speed up. So knowing the destination, knowing the distance towards your destination is also very important when it comes to your pace of traveling. So whether, let's say if you're traveling to JB, do you want to stop by Malacca for lunch, or do you want to stop by Yongping for lunch? This is actually the pace of your of the journey. All right. So this journey is just a very short-term thing. It's just an example. However, going to the next slide, when it comes to ringgit, from the present, these are some common goals that a lot of people will have, like post-retirement expenses, children education fund, dream home, right? So yeah, a lot of people know that they need to prepare for this. But the thing is, the amount that's needed for this is often quite blur. Okay, you may know how much is it, but you do not know how much it will be in the future. Okay, because there's this thing called inflation. So inflation is actually basically the reason why prices increase every year by year. Okay, so the phenomena that why prices increase year by year is actually called inflation. Okay, so if you do not know if you do not know the amount of this, your amount of your destination or your milestones, you would not know when to start, and you would not know how much to invest. Okay, so what most people would do is just invest and hope for the best. Okay, they'll just invest and then I just stop wherever my money takes me. Okay, so what will happen is maybe you have this plan charted out already. Okay, but the thing is, let's say if you do not know how to quantify your destination, what happened would be you may stop somewhere there. Yeah, you may stop somewhere there, and then yeah, you just say yeah, I'm good enough. Okay, but you deep down you know that you may not achieve certain things. Okay, so nothing wrong with that. It's just that every one of us have our own destination that we want to go to. So now is, how do you figure out how much is required? Okay, so let's say I have 3 examples, but I'm going to maybe just share with you one. Children's education fund. All right, so let's talk about children's education fund. All right, so Chiling, do you mind if you can help me to share the first link that I've sent to you? Have you shared the first link so that you can share it to the audience? I'm going to show them how to figure out how much.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thanks Chiling. Okay, step number 1 is actually to find out today's value. Okay, so Chiling is going to share with you a link on how do you get the cost of the education, because we are going to focus on children's education fund and more specifically tertiary education fund. Okay, because these figures are easily available. However, everyone have their own milestone. So whatever milestone you get, do a bit of a research and understand how much does it cost today. Okay, so for children's education fund, thankfully our government has actually provided a excuse me, government has actually provided a very useful website, which is this. Perhaps I can also share it out on the screen so that you can have a look. Okay, the website will look something like this. All right. So it's actually
again, you probably need to zoom in a little.
yeah, thanks for a reminder. Okay, a website will look the website will looks like this, and then it will show you like the cost of tertiary education in different universities. All right, so these figures are accurate as at May 2020, even though it's a year, slightly over a year, but I would say still relatively relevant. Okay, but bear in mind that these are all in US dollars. Okay, so you can have a look at your free time. You can have a look at these figures. Okay, and I'm going to, maybe I will just choose an example. Let's say we go for Bachelor of Arts in the UK. All right, $50,000. Okay, $50,000. Let's bear this in mind. And I'm going to bring you back. Let's say the cost of studying tertiary education for Bachelor of Arts in the UK is $50,000. Coming back to my slide, now you know the today's value, and next is you need to figure out how much is the inflation that causes the increase of cost every year. Okay, so for education, it could be somewhere around 6 to 8%. For different types of expenses, they bring a different rate of inflation. So what you can do is maybe do a bit of a research. Don't research every single expenses lah, of course. Just research the ones that you think is actually it will actually require a huge amount of money. Okay, so just to find out, have a feeling of how much does each of these expenses will increase every year. Okay, number 2 is actually to find out inflation, and number 3 is actually to calculate using a financial calculator. All right, so right now I'm going to share with you another link, which is actually a very simple financial calculator. Chiling, if you don't mind, maybe you can also share it on with the rest of the audience. And while Chiling is sharing that, I'm going to bring that up. So if you click on that link, you'll look at, maybe you can click on that link later on, but I'm going to share with you how do I use this. It looks a bit intimidating, but what I want to focus is actually from only on these few fields. All right. Okay, I'm going to reset this again. All right. So what we want to do now is actually we want to calculate how much does it cost to for education in the UK. Okay, so just now it's about 50,000 USD. So 50,000 USD, let's say for easy calculation, we just multiply by 4 lah. Okay, so it's 200,000, and maybe we add in another 100,000 for living expenses. All right, so let's say the cost of education is about 300,000. Okay, follow me for a while. Maybe this is a bit bear with me, maybe this is a bit confusing, but let's talk about payments. There are no payments in this scenario. What we want to do is we want to calculate the future value only. Okay, so you can leave this blank. We are calculating the future value, so later we will need to find the answer here. Okay, this calculator a bit different from the maybe it could look something different from the calculator that it used to, but all right. Annual rate. So this is the rate that I've mentioned before. This is actually the inflation. So what you want to do is, let's say education cost could there's an inflation of maybe 6 to 8% per year. So what you want to do is maybe just put 6%, and then for periods of how many years. So this one, what you want to put in is actually the number of years your children, your kid or your child or your children will need to take. How long does it need? How long do they need to? How far away are they from their tertiary education? Sorry, mind fog a bit. Okay, so let's say if your child is about 4 years old or 5 years old, depending on how old are they, maybe they have another 15 years to go. Okay, so what you want to do is type in 15, and then remember to change this to annually. All right, so you have the present value of the cost today is 300,000, the inflation rate of 6%, and there's also a 15 years period to go, and then the inflation is compounded on an annual basis. So now you can click on this FV button. So with this FV button, let me zoom in a little bit. With this FV button, once you click, it will show you a figure. Don't worry about the negative sign. It means that you need to take out money from your pocket, and it's actually 718,000 or about 720,000. Okay, so the education cost of 300,000 today with an inflation rate of 6%, 15 years later, it will cost you 720,000. All right, so let's get back to my slide. So right now, you will know that today's value, you will know.
Sorry, Marshall.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to find out, because earlier on you used 300,000, right? The 300,000 is a 1-year education or the entire course?
I would believe it's actually the entire course. So if you look at
can we have a quick?
Yeah, sure. It's actually the entire course.
Okay, so the number doesn't look so daunting now. I was like a bit worried. Wow, 700,000 for just 1 year, first year of tertiary education. I'm like mind-boggling. Okay, sorry, please continue.
Yeah, no worries. Actually, if you scroll down towards the end of this page, let me zoom in again. You can find more information like visa cost, the cost of accommodation, the cost of transportation. All you need to do is come to this link and then click on the information here. So don't be too afraid of these numbers, okay? But this actually can give you a very good guide on what's coming ahead, okay? All right, let's get back to my slide. Yeah. Okay, so right now, using education cost as an example, just coming back to this, let's plot this out. So children's education cost could cost you 730,000, and then maybe after the calculation of your post-retirement expenses, you need 3 million, dream home, you need 2 million. Of course, the calculation for post-retirement expenses could be slightly different. So what you can do is you can also Google retirement calculator. So there's plenty of calculators online. Okay, but the very important thing is at least know your figure, quantify your figure. All right. So also same thing goes with dream home. Okay, of let's say if it's 1 million today or 1.5 million today, it could cost you 2 million in the future and maybe in the next few years. All right. So point of as I've covered, let's summarize point number 1. Understand your why, which is I first identify what are your milestones. Remember the map I showed you earlier. Remember your finance. Plan a final. Plot your final destination, and along the way, plot certain milestones that you want to achieve. Okay, and then after that, once you plot it, you want to do is to quantify it. Okay, just like kilometers, you need to know how far away are you from that. Okay, so that you know where you want to go and how far and at what pace do you want to go. All right, so there are also certain times that my client may have a goal that is like a very, very big goal. Okay, so their dream home could be like a 15 million ringgit mansion or a 20 million ringgit mansion. Okay, we have mansions like this in KL. So that can be also your dream home. Okay, so if you have goals like that, what you need to do is pay attention to my point number 3 later on. Okay, but it may be very scary to you.
One note on this. Yeah, when we calculate that number like 3,720,000 and 2 million, must that, like for example, like because in your calculation, children education fund, I actually have 15 years, but maybe my post-retirement is only 10 years. Does it matter? Or we just want to know the end number?
It doesn't matter. So like I mentioned, if I bring you back to my slide, you have different milestones at different stages of your life. Okay, of course, this could be your last destination where you want to go. It's like, how do you want to spend the rest of your life? Okay, but before that, there are many different milestones. Like for example, this could be your first home. Okay, let's say if you're someone that's just started working, and then maybe marriage is also a life a milestone. You know, children education cost funding and whatnot. Of course, it's not just four. You can have quite a few. Okay, and last but not least is how do you want to spend the rest of your life. So it doesn't really matter how
Right.
the sequence of it. But the very important thing is plot it out first.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, so I've covered topic number one, which is you need to have a clear and quantifiable goal, and you need to know when to start saving and how much to save. Okay, next is to understand your net worth. So net worth is actually a very important number to keep track. Okay, it's not the amount of money you have in your bank. It's not how many houses you have. It's not about what car you drive. Okay, it all comes down to this one number, which is the net worth. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a bit of a statistic on Malaysians net worth. So net worth of you and me. Okay, according to Global Wealth Report 2019 by Credit Suisse, this is about 0.2% of Malaysians have a net worth of more than $1 million US. Okay, and then 3.7% of Malaysians have a net worth of above $100,000 US. Okay, so for the 95 or more, about 95% of us or 96% of us, our net worth is less than US$ 100,000, or let's say for easy calculation, $400,000, 400,000 ringgit Malaysia. Okay, so you may ask, you may wonder, hey, my house is worth like 1 million. How can my net worth be less than? This number doesn't look right, because I know a lot of people's houses are more than 1 million or more than 500,000. Okay, easily. If you're living in the Klang Valley, easily more than 500,000 already. Why is this report wrong or not? Okay, net worth is not the asset value. Okay, net worth, asset value, your house is your asset. However, net worth is your total asset minus your total liability. Okay, so what's total asset? What's asset? What's liability? Let's make it simple. Asset is something that you own. Liability is something that you owe. So for example, let's say if you buy a house, okay, a house is, let's say it's 1 million today. Not a lot of people can actually buy a 1 million house, 1 million ringgit house with cash. So a lot of people will actually take up a loan. Okay, so a loan could be like, let's say if it's 830,000. Okay, so your net worth would be 170,000. Okay, so yeah, so the more you pay off your loan, the higher your net worth would be, and then also depending on the market value of your house. Okay, so this is basically your net worth. Okay, this is net worth. Simple enough.
Yep.
Okay, so how do you want to calculate your net worth? Net worth is not just properties. Net worth is more than that. It can be your EPF, it can be your fixed deposit, it can be your funds in certain investment vehicles, it can be also shares that you own, or when I say stock market, in the stock market, and it can be also alternative assets such as cryptocurrencies. Okay, as long as your asset has a value, it's counted as an asset to me. Okay, so these are all of your assets. However, to calculate your net worth, remember to minus out whatever loan that you have, the amount that you're owing to banks or to creditors out there. Okay, so this is actually how do you calculate your net worth. So the importance of calculating net worth is actually to identify where you are in that treasure map. Remember the adventure map? Okay, the first topic is identifying your destination. All right, so you have point B. However, you also need to identify point A, because you want to make sure that you know where to go. Okay, so let's say if I want to go from Port Dickson, for example, do I travel north or do I travel east? Okay, I have that destination already. I want to go Port Dickson. Do I travel north or sorry, do I travel north or do I travel south? Okay, that question doesn't make any sense if I do not know where am I departing from. Okay, so let's say if I'm departing from KL, I will need to travel south. But let's say if I'm departing from Malacca or JB, I need to travel north. Okay, so in financial planning, it's also the same. Having an idea of where you want to go is not enough. You need to know where are you starting. Okay, so to identify where you are right now, the best way is actually to find out what's your net worth. Okay, so you know how far away is it. Okay, so you can calculate the time, you can calculate the speed, right? Just now, remember the example I showed you. So that is where I want to highlight, which is the importance of having a net worth. However, it's not all. Knowing your net worth is not everything you need to know about net worth. Besides that, you also still need to identify the progression of your net worth. Okay, I'm going to show you with this chart. Let's say, for example, in this year, my net worth declined by 2%. Obviously, it's not good. Okay, obviously, it's not good. However, let's say the next year, my net worth increased by 6%. Obviously, it's good. Okay, but my question is, let's say if your net worth increased by 4%. Okay, it's still increasing by 4%. Is it good or not? Okay, if it's increasing by 1%, if it's increasing by 2%, is it good or not? Okay, yes, your number is increasing, your total asset is actually increasing. Okay, but it may not be that good if you don't benchmark it with something else. Remember the word I've mentioned, inflation, early in the topic number 1. Inflation is actually the cost of goods that's rising, or the diminishing of your purchasing power. Okay, so let's say if your net worth is increasing at a rate of 2 to 3% or 4%. Yeah, the number may be increasing. The numbers on your bank balance may look more. However, the true purchasing power that you have may not increase. Why? Because it's just on par with the inflation rate. However, let's say the inflation rate is at 4% and your net worth is increased at 2%, then even though your numbers increase, but the purchasing power that you have is actually diminishes. So it's not enough to know that your number is actually increasing. You need to benchmark it with something else. Of course, if your net worth increased by 8%, it's quite good. Okay. So I want you to bring back, I want everyone to, the audience here to understand this concept. It's important to benchmark your growth in net worth to the inflation rate. So knowing your net worth is not enough, it's good to benchmark it against something else, so that you know that you're actually growing, or you are actually moving. All right. Okay. Yes. So yeah. Feel free to stop me if I'm going too fast, or like if there's any question. Yeah.
So if we tie back to your earlier sharing, right? Let's say, let's talk about the education fund, the 730,000 that looks currently very daunting to probably some of the people here. So because we have calculated based on that 6% inflation. So in other words, linking back to the net worth that I have. So let's say my net worth now is 170,000. Does it mean that like 15 years down the road, my net worth, in order to pay for my child's education, my net worth should be at least 720,000? Is that what we're looking at?
No.
No.
Okay. No. Net worth is basically the whole of your like your asset, So you won't be like putting everything that you own and then just to send your kid to UK to study for that 4 years degree course.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You may need more than that.
Okay, so then I should be taking into that, just now that 3 million plus the 2 million and the 720,000. So my goal should be taking my net worth, my current net worth, say 170,000, to actually grow it up to that 5-point-something million. Is the bigger picture of how it should be? Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, it sounds a bit scary, but later on I'll share with you on what other ways to overcome it, which is going to be very interesting in the next topic, which
Okay.
is income. Okay. Yeah, income. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this topic, income, because I believe that, as I mentioned earlier, not a lot of people are actually talking about this topic. Not in fact, I don't see any financial planners sharing about this topic. Okay. So I want to ask you or the audience here in the room, what can you do to improve your income?
I think a lot of people out there will be probably getting a second job.
Mm,
I don't know, do forex,
mm,
do share market. That's what my
mm,
husband do
mm,
to improve income.
yeah. So yeah, like what you have actually correctly pointed out, a lot of people think that to improve their income, they should learn how to do investments. They should do some investments to improve their income. Okay. However, I feel a little bit intimidated by, I would say a little bit intimidated by, advertisements on social media that, you should, I don't know whether have you seen something like this or not lah. So the advertisements is like this, it started like that. Invest safely with proven consistent results, generate safe and consistent passive income. So a lot of investment schools, investment courses, they will say that you should make money when you sleep, phrases like this. You should, fire your boss one day, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's the thing. With investment courses, I think it's very good to learn. It provides a place for people to learn investment. Before that, my next slide. I come in, please. I'm not saying that investment courses are not good. I personally, I've also been through some investment courses. But in this section, I want to bring a slightly different perspective to this. Okay, this is something that I wanted to bring. A lot of these investment courses, they will preach the idea of like, why should you let someone else manage your money? Okay, I 100% agree with this. Okay, this statement, everyone should manage their own money. However, there's a difference between managing your own money and managing your own investments. Okay, so this is something that is very, very, a lot of people will confuse this, or maybe a lot of investment courses will give a blanket statement that everyone should manage their money. This is actually true, but I don't really agree that everyone should manage their own investments, because managing your money is actually relatively easy compared to managing your own investments, because investments involves a lot more technical skills and a lot more work that is required than just managing your own money. All right. So I'm going to share with you an example. So for those of you that's watching this, bear with me, there will be some numbers, there will be some calculations. All right. On me proving that you should manage your own money, but most of you will not need to manage your own investments. Okay, so let's start with this. Okay, let's say that you have 100,000 ringgit free cash flow. Okay, you have this amount of money, you do not know what to do with it. Okay, so this money is like sitting in your bank account, and then you may want to grow money. You want to invest using this money. So a lot of people will say, hey, you should go and do investment now, it will increase your income. Okay, so this topic is actually increasing your income. You should actually invest and increase your income. So I'm going to give you a comparison here. Let's say you have two choices. You can put this 100,000 ringgit to a fund that a professional will manage for you, or you can manage it on your own. So you manage your own investments. Okay, so funds typically, I'm not saying that this is guaranteed, typically gives you about 8% return. Let's say, for example, an 8% return. And then over the course of 10 years, if you don't take any money out, over the course of 10 years, your 100,000 will, with a growth of 8%, will become 216,000 ringgit. Okay, so there will be an increase in your value. However, a lot of people say, hey, funds, you got cost lah, you got fee lah, the return is not that good lah, you should invest on your own. Okay, so there's another way that you can do it. You can invest on your own. Say if you invest 10%, if you invest with a return of 10% consistently over the next 10 years, you get 259,000. For 12%, you get 310%, 15% at 405,000, and also 20% at you'll get 619,000. All right. So obviously, let's say if you want to invest on your own and if you can achieve Warren Buffett's level, obviously you will make a lot more money. How much more? Let's say compared, this is the difference between this 10% and 8%. Okay. Right. So if you take 259,000 minus 216,000, you get 43,000. Okay. So as your investment return improves or your investment skill improves, you make more money than the investment portfolio that you are invested in, let's say. Okay. So if you achieve Warren Buffett's level, you get 403,000 more than if you invest it through a fund. Okay. Well, this is the difference. However, this is something that is not really not a lot of people would think about. This is before you achieve 10% for consistent 10 years, probably you may also make some losses, and you may not know when you started out, not everyone is a genius, or not everyone is as lucky. Okay, so they may lose some money, they may make some money, and then in the end it all evens out. Okay, but let's say if you invest at 10%, 12%, 15%, or 30%, using this as a base calculation, I want to divide it by the number of months. So in 10 years, there are 120 months. So if you take this figure, 43,000 difference, you divide it by every month, the difference per month is 360 ringgit. Okay, 700, 1,005, and also 3,300. Okay, this is the point where I want to emphasize on. Is your time worth it to have an increment of only 358 ringgit by investing on your own, learning on your own, and achieving this result as compared to an 8% return? This is something, there's no answer, there's no fixed answer to this. It's just a question that I want to ask the audience. Is it worth it? So for the next 10 years, your increment is only 358 ringgit per month. Is it worth it or not? By having the headache, you have to go through all of the headache to learn all of this, reading all the news, looking at charts, or finding ways. Is it really worth it for 358 ringgit? Probably what I can do is I can just look for a job, I change a job and get that increment, or improve my skills, take the time and improve my skills and get that increment of 358 ringgit, which I don't think, honestly, I don't think it's very impossible. Even if you get an increment of 3,300 over the next 10 years, I don't think it's as difficult as being at a level of Warren Buffett's investment skills. Okay, okay. So what I want to bring out is this. We have to think of opportunity cost. Okay, this is something that's very important, because every one of us have only 24 hours a day. If we have 24 hours a day, how do we want to spend our time? This is something that I want to share it. From my perspective, I feel that how do we improve our income may not necessarily be only from investments. It can also be improving our skill sets. Okay, so if you're someone that do not have investment background, or do not have a lot of financial background, probably you will have existing skills and investment skills that looks like this. Okay, you may have a little bit knowledge about investment, but you have other skills. For example, let's say you have skills to create a very comprehensive spreadsheet. You have the skills to manage project. You have skills to take photograph, or you're a photographer, or you have skills to bake your goods or running different types of things. Okay. So my question is, should you spend your time to learn how to do investment and start from scratch all over again? Or should you spend your time to improve on your existing skills and get that increment of 300 or 3,000, depending on where you want to go? Okay, then people will also say, hey, I'm at the top of my job already, or my skills are there already. There is a plateau, okay? You can't break through, something like this. So there's a certain limit of amount of level that you can reach, and then you don't really go through. But so this is basically a wall that you really need to break through, or it's very difficult to break through. But what makes you think that investment there is no wall? There will also be a wall. Okay, so even let's put it this way, even professional investors don't guarantee your investments. Okay, so there will definitely be a wall there. So what happens is, if you think you have reached the limit of your existing skills, what you can do is learning complementary skills and break that wall. Okay, for example, what are complementary skills? I myself, I'm a financial planner, okay, as you have may know. But at the same time, when I was doing financial planning, as I've shared earlier, I was also building my own websites. Okay, so financial planning and websites may not sound that similar. It may not sound like it can synergize together. But how I make it is like, I understand that other financial planners out there may also want to have their own website or personal branding site. So what I did was I was leveraging on my skill. And I learned new and I helped other financial planners to build their own website. And because I'm in this industry, I know exactly what their client wants, and I know exactly what the website should look like. Okay, so that's why I learned a new skill and I improved on my existing skills, which is financial planning. It somehow synergizes and somehow it clicks. And then besides that, building website is not just what I do. I also help people to plan their branding, write their articles. So there are many skills that you can actually learn to improve your income. Remember, the topic for this topic is actually income. How do you improve your income? It's not necessarily just learning a new investment skill and start from scratch again. Okay, you should build on top of your existing skills, stack on top, stacking skills after skills after skills, so that you can actually you know demand a higher income from your existing employer. Or you can also, or perhaps let's say if you have learned a new skill, you could also easily move on to a better role. Okay, don't be too fixated that investment is the only way to improve your income. It's not. You can actually learn a lot of skills to improve yourself, to get a better opportunity. Okay, so
Yeah. I do want to add in here how Marshall has actually pointed it out. Ultimately, we are good in what we're doing, right? And if I can, by improving my existing skill, I can make, say, extra 1,000 compared to the same, or maybe I need to spend double the time to learn about investment from scratch. As well, do something that I really know, and then make that extra 1,000, and then just pump it into investment, where someone else who are skilled in that field, and let them make the money as well, right? So to me, it's about how you have aptly put it is your opportunity cost. To me, doing what we are good in, doing what we love in a way, will eventually help us build the extra income that we want, right? It's not necessarily about spending extra time doing double job. I know there are people who are interested in like stock market or Forex, purely because it's the excitement that it brings. But I also want to point out that understand why you're doing it, right? You're doing it because of the excitement, then know that it's because of the excitement. don't confuse it with like I'm making extra money out of it, because some other people may be able to make more than you do. Okay, so yeah, that's I think it is also a question that a lot of parents worried about, like, I don't have enough, right? I'm not sure whether I'm providing, having enough for my children for their future, especially for children with special needs, right? They may have limited ability when it comes to generating their own skill, right? They may be limited in that sense because they're children with special needs. Then that's where the investment comes in, right? You probably need a bigger base for a pool of investment and allowing that investment to generate enough income to sustain what your child needs eventually.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chilling. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, coming back to this, it's more about doing like what you have mentioned, Chilling, is like doing what you really love and doing what you're passionate in. And it's funny that a lot of people, especially among my age, they say they should learn how to do investing. And when I think about it, when I was studying accounting, a lot of people tell me they hate accounting. Right? They hate looking at numbers, they hate looking at figures. But in the end, they say they want to learn investing. They should also learn how to read financial statements. I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you hate it, why do you want to do it? Now you can do it.
Exactly. I get very stressed, when you ask me to go invest money in stock exchange. I think I'll probably lose a lot more hair. I grow a lot more grays by doing things I don't like, because I have to spend so many hours to be educated, to read out about the stocks, to read about what's going on. And then there's a lot of so-called opportunity, when the news comes in, to me, it's taking up so much energy from me just to learn how to invest on my own. I rather put my money somewhere, I get a safe 8%, and I don't have to worry, and I can, do what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. So yeah, again, there's remember rule number one, rule of financial planning is there's no correct rule. So this is just my sharing, and this is just my observation. You may have a different view. Definitely financial planners will have a different view. So yeah, but this is just what I see. Improving your income, you can also do it by improving your own skills. Okay. And when I talk about improving skills, how do you do that? So I know that there are certain professional certifications that you can take. So let's say if you are doing like you are an accountant, what you can do is probably you can take professional papers like ACCA, taking papers like internal audit or ICAW kind of qualification. And definitely I believe that most industries or most professionals, they have their own professional certification board where they can also take an exam and be part of that board. And then once you are recognized as a member of that professional body, you can request or you can demand for a higher salary. So that is one way of improving your skills and also improving your personal experience. And besides that, these are the more traditional way. But besides that, you can also go to platforms like Coursera, okay, where you can actually pay $250 per month to learn whatever course that they have inside there. So it's actually quite a very interesting, it's actually a very, very interesting place where you can actually learn stuff. So if you think about it, 250 a month sounds like a lot. My Netflix account doesn't cost that much. But if you compare it with the tertiary education that I've mentioned earlier, this is a lot more cheaper. So if you multiply this by per year, it's only 1,800. So it's actually not that bad if you want to learn a new skill. Especially, I think a lot of employers nowadays don't really, I don't know, like, I'm speaking from my observation. Well, I believe there are still employees out there looking at CVs or your qualification. But personally, as an employer myself, I don't really look at CVs anymore. What I look at is I will give them a test. When it comes to interview, I will give them a task and judge them based on how well they complete that task. instead of looking at a CV and I'm not sure whether are they really qualified or not. Having that certificate may not necessarily be. Of course, it comes down to different industries lah. Okay, but for my case, I will give them a task and I will judge them based on the task that they do. Okay, that's my style. I'm not sure about your style, Chilin, but at least that's my style. So you can actually pick up a new skill
But
from
I
platforms.
do, yeah, I do agree.
Yeah.
I
So
do agree, but I think that's where the conflict comes in, the traditional method of hiring and the so-called new generation of hiring, where we focus a lot more skill and less on certification. It's a huge debate when it comes to higher education, tertiary education. Should my child still go for a degree? It's also a constant question that parents ask us, right? If my child can't go get a degree, then what's their future? So I do want to emphasize that there's this trend currently, especially with how internet have changed things, how COVID have changed how we actually learn. In fact, I took up so many Coursera courses that are free of charge, right? Just to improve on parenting, just to improve on communication with children. There are so many learning platforms out there that currently offer so-called free courses, and even a lot of these courses are do it at your own pace.
Yep.
So, which I think is very suitable for a lot of people now, because you do it at your own pace. When you're free, you spend 10-15 minutes just to go through certain lectures, certain points, and then you work on it. And in fact, if you're talking about tertiary education, I do believe that eventually we will move to that mode, because you look at the leading employers, you talk about Google, you talk about so many big companies out there, that they don't hire just because you have a degree, just because you graduate from Harvard or Oxford. I mean, it adds value because of the fame, but ultimately it's the skill. And I believe that could be a trend for all the so-called future generation. And to me, that is essentially more applicable for our children with special needs, especially those who are probably more on the middle and lower spectrum of learning. Just teach them a specific skill, and that is enough for them to actually sustain their living. So that is something that I do want to share with parents, for them to actually think about. No longer just very fixated that, oh, my child must go to uni. That mindset may not apply to our children. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, and I think it will move towards that. Yeah, because personally, I myself, I also don't really look at CVs anymore. All right, okay. So coming back to this, Coursera is one platform. I'm going to share with you also other platforms like Udemy. So this is basically how their pricing model is slightly different. Coursera is like you pay a month, it's like Netflix, okay? You pay for Netflix and then you can watch whatever show you want. So this is also the same. You pay for 250 per month and you can get whatever courses that you want to learn in that month. Udemy is slightly different. Their pricing model is based on the course. So different course, they'll have different prices. So from 60 ringgit per course. So let's say if you want to, you know that there is one specific skill that you want to learn or improve on, you can actually just purchase that course and read it from there. And like what Chi-Ling you have mentioned is you can actually learn it on your own pace. So it's actually quite I mean, everyone has our own schedule, right? Because I'm talking from the parents' perspective right now. So parents, maybe you are actually working, you have a full-time job, so maybe you couldn't really attend a full-time course. So what you can do is also go to Udemy and learn, pick up the skills from there. Okay. However, there's also another one that is totally free, which is YouTube. Okay. So this is actually something that's very, very, I don't know about you lah, but my YouTube content, I spend a lot of time watching YouTube, but I don't watch entertainment stuff. I watch things like business related, marketing related, or because I'm building websites, I'm looking at technical skills on how to build a better website. So I do this almost every day whenever I have free time, and I never mind this one I shared one time already in the past webinar I did. I even bought those kind of like mobile phone clamps, and I clamp it the holder, mobile phone holder, and I clamp it in my shower room, so that whenever I shower, I can play a I can play a video when I'm showering, because that is also a time that I can also, like, it's a me time lah, I would say. that I actually watch, and at the same time, hopefully I learn a thing or two. Because how I see platforms like this, especially YouTube, because it's free, is that it opens up my mind to many, many different things. It's not that I don't really limit myself to just in the financial planning circle. Okay, financial planning is only that much you can do. However, you get to explore skills and also experience, or even implementation processes from other industries, not just financial planning industry. However, even though we are in different industries, certain skills or certain processes can actually be brought over and synergize with what I have right now. So YouTube is actually an excellent tool to actually improve your skills and also open up your mind a little bit. So if you look at my suggestion list, it's not like funny videos or videos about cute animals. No, it's not. It's nothing like that. So my YouTube suggestion list, you can see like science related stuff, technology related stuff, things that I find interesting, and I find that it can also improve myself as a person, and also improve my general knowledge on this. So yeah.
I'm glad that you actually bring up about YouTube, because I think a lot of my parents are very worried their children spending a lot of time on screen, which I think should be concerned. But how Marshall have shared, you can actually use this YouTube time to actually learn something new. And I think that same goes with our children. Rather than allowing them to watch endlessly, if your child is interested in game design, there are so many different YouTube sharing about game design that your child will be interested, and at the same time they'll be able to pick up skills as well. So to me that's a great use of YouTube. It's not about just watching endless. When parents worry about my child spends so much time on YouTube, what are they spending on? So pick and recommend and allow your child to actually go and explore, and point them and direct them in the direction where they can actually learn while they're actually watching YouTube.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing, Marshall.
Yeah, I would say YouTube actually helped me to secure a huge contract, a huge website development contract, just because of YouTube. Like I've mentioned, I don't have any IT knowledge, I don't have any coding experience, but I learned everything through YouTube. So it's actually it's actually like what Chiling has mentioned. It's just a tool. It really depends on how do you use it. It can be used for entertainment, or it can be also used for self or personal growth. So I'm not sure how parents can do it. I can't imagine that. Maybe Chiling, you're the expert here. But I would also encourage parents to learn a thing or two from YouTube, and then maybe you could also influence. I don't know whether is that how it works.
Yes.
But hopefully it can also influence the children to learn something from YouTube as well.
Definitely. That's also where they have shared interests. Your child may be interested in, I don't know, DDD, and then you can probably talk about animation. Right? Look into different ways of animation. What are the skills that you need? What are the software available out there to do animation? So that's how you support your child to learn as well. You learn and your child learns.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's quite fun that you can maybe choose something that you can do it together. After you watch the YouTube, maybe you can do it on hand. And then when I see my product, because I don't have children, so I can't really speak from parents' point of view. But when I see my product, I feel really glad that, I feel very proud that I have actually made something that I never thought I can do. So it's actually something that's actually very good. So coming back to the topic, yeah, learning a new skill that interests you can also improve your income. It's not necessary going for investment courses, looking at charts, figures, and also numbers to improve your income. So there are many ways to improve your income. So what I want to bring to you, how do I summarize this, is whether you want to be good in investment or be better at what you are already good at? So this is actually the question I want to ask. There are so many investment ads out there targeting people that wants to improve their income, but I want to give a different perspective is investment is not the only way to improve your income. There are many different ways to improve your income, especially if you are already good at something. Look for a complementary skill that you can learn and synergize both skills together and improve your income, either by running a new business or requesting or demanding a raise or a pay from your current employer, or just look for a better role or position. Okay, so that's what I want to bring up. So coming back to this question again, what can you improve? What can you do to improve your income? So like I mentioned, not necessarily investment skills. Okay, so this is topic number 3. All right, 5 steps and 3 down, 2 to go. 4, PAD. Okay, this is a bit more conventional financial planning stuff, which a lot of financial planners have actually covered this before, which I will also be going through this very, very quickly, hopefully. If there's any questions from the audience, feel free to drop it down and I'll answer them. Also, Chiling, feel free to stop me if I'm going too fast.
Sure.
All right, so PAD stands for protect, accumulate, and distribute. All right, so protect, quite straightforward, insurance law. Protect your asset, protect your income. Okay, accumulate is more on investment part. Even though just now the earlier topic I say don't invest or don't actively invest, but investment is still very important. You can invest passively. Okay, and then the last part is distribution. Distribution is like, or perhaps I can show you this chart again. So I'm going to come back to this chart quite often. All right, so first, in topic number 1, you find out your destination. Okay, know your why. Topic number 2 is find where you are right now. Currently, where are you right now? Okay, so you can find the distance and also how you want to travel, the speed that you want to travel. Topic number 3, income. How do income fit into this? Income is actually the size of your boat. Okay, so let's say if you have a destination that's very far away, you cannot use a canoe to reach. Let's say if you want to cross from Port PD to Indonesia, probably you can do that, okay, but it's very hard to travel by canoe, right? Or let's say if you want to go to Sri Lanka or Maldives, you cannot go from PD to Maldives using a canoe. Okay, so probably you need a bigger ship. So income is actually the size of the ship. Okay, so let's say if you have a huge goal, just now I mentioned, let's say if your goal is to have a 30 million ringgit mansion, you cannot use a canoe to reach there. Okay, what you need to do is upgrade your boat so that your boat is huge enough to weather through the storms and also the choppy waves or whatnot, and travel all the way to Maldives. Okay, so your income is actually the ship, the size of the ship. Okay, so using this as an example. All right, so now topic number 4, PAD. P stands for protection. Okay, so protection is to make sure that if anything happens to your ship, the passengers within the ship can still travel to their respective milestone or their respective destination. So that is the concept of protection. Okay, A, accumulation, is basically the energy or the fuel for your ship to travel from one milestone to another milestone. Okay, it's like your gas lah. Okay, you want to make sure that you have enough gas to do that. Okay, and then D, distribution, it means that once you reach your destination, you distribute your assets so that you can help your family or your children to kickstart their journey and make their journey a little bit easier. And that's distribution. Protect, accumulate, and distribute. All right, so I'm going to go into the details of each and every one of these acronyms. P, protect. What do you need to think of when it comes to protection? Okay, I believe that if you have joined a lot of financial planning courses, I think this is very common, but because it's important, I'm going to share it again. Number 1 you need to think of is medical card. Why medical card? Is because this is the most important, or the most there is a very high chance that you will need to claim a medical card throughout your life. Okay, this is something that is very important. Okay, for example, as simple as a mosquito bite, okay, dengue, you would maybe need to spend a few thousand ringgit or maybe up to 10,000, maybe from 10,000 ringgit onwards for the hospital charges already. So 10,000 is not a lot, but it can also create a dent or a dent in your finance. Next is personal accident. Even though we don't travel a lot right now, but right now because economy is opening up again, at least the Klang Valley, phase two, a lot of people are starting to travel. I see a lot of cars around me. So not a lot of people actually think of personal accident plan, because personal accident is actually a general insurance. It doesn't fall into life insurance. This is a bit technical, but life insurance agents hardly sell personal accident plans. Okay, which is why a lot of people don't have personal accident plan. But personal accident plan and medical card is a very good combo for especially young adults, because the cost is actually very low and what they cover is actually very high. Okay, so personal accident, why? Is because according to Malaysia statistics, accidental death is the fourth highest reason for death in Malaysia. So if you are someone below the age of 45, that is actually top number one, if I'm not mistaken. You can go to statistics Department of Statistics Malaysia and find out. Okay, so personal accident is actually very important because accidents we kemalangan tidak berbau lah. It's just like we don't know when accidents will happen. That's why it's called an accident. Okay, so getting an accident and a medical card is the most important thing that someone should actually get first. Okay, especially if you're traveling a lot. All right. Next will be critical illness and also death and TPD. So critical illness is basically like if something happens, you can actually get a sum of money out and then use it for your living expenses. Same goes to TPD. If you can't work anymore, even though if you can't work, there will still be some expenses that you need to fork out, like living expenses, your food, and then also, let's say if critical illness, probably you need certain types of equipment or certain type of supporting tools that needs to support your life. And maybe because of critical illness, you may need to take 3 or 4, 5 years break from the working environment. Then that is where the amount needs to come in. So is it very important at the beginning stage? If let's say if you are a fresh grad, maybe not. But let's say, because I'm talking to parents right now, you have dependents with you, you have dependents. So this is actually very important, especially stage number 3 and number 4. Okay, whereby you need to get critical illness and also death TPD expenses. Remember the map, the treasure, the adventure map. So having protection is like making sure that even if the captain of the ship is something can't really steer the ship anymore, at least there is a plan B, so that every of your passenger on board can reach their destination without suffering too much. Okay, so that's the whole idea of protection. So of course, when we talk about protection, there are a lot of types of marketing I would say marketing strategies like MRTA, MLTA, like income replacement plan, like children's education protection, all those kind of things. You have heard, I believe that you have heard before. Likely or not, maybe certain agents will actually pitch it that way. But in my point of view, they are all the same. Okay, if you ask them, they are all the same policies. Life and TPD benefit, the coverage for life, death and TPD, it can be branded or packaged into education protection plan. It can be branded into income replacement plan. It can be branded into different types of investment protection plan, or a key man insurance plan. Okay, all of these type of things are actually coming from using the same policy. Okay, if you look at the name, it's actually the same. The coverage is actually the same. It's just that the marketing approach is slightly different, because it's all based on because you have that need, so that's why I sell you that. Okay, but in the end, comes back, it's all the same type of policy. But how do you need to know how much you need to be protected? Okay, so I'm going to go through this very quickly. Medical card, what you need to get right now is at least I think very little people got medical card that the annual limit is less than 1 million already lah. So if your annual limit is still less than 1 million, I really suggest that you go and talk to your insurance agent or a financial planner to improve your medical card, because as you can see, the cost of the cost of medication right now is actually very, very high. Okay, 1 year can go more than 300,000 probably. Okay, if you still have the old medical card with you that have an annual limit of 100,000, it may not really be enough at today's time already. Okay.
So they should go back to their insurance agent and speak to them?
Yeah. Okay. So next is personal accident. Okay. Next is personal accident plan. Like I said, I don't see a lot of people having this plan. This is actually quite a I don't really see a lot of people getting this. My guess is because probably life insurance agents aren't promoting this widely enough, because very likely your insurance agents are coming from life insurance companies. However, personal accident plan typically comes from general insurance companies. Okay, so personal accident plan is how much you need is actually, you need to figure out like how much is your income. Okay, you need to figure out how much is your income, and you want to make sure that it covers 5 years of your income. Okay, so for personal accident plan, let's say you take your income of, let's say 120,000, and then you multiply it by 5. Okay, so it's about 130,000 by 5 is 600,000. Okay, let's say if 600,000 coverage, the premium is actually relatively low. It's not like life insurance, because it only covers accident. It only covers accident. So the premium for a 600,000 personal accident plan could cost you about 600 or 700 ringgit per year. So it's not a very huge expense, okay, as compared to a 607 or 600,000 life insurance plan. Okay, and next, this is like more than 1 million. This is 5 times. Critical illness is also 5 times of your I would say this is, by the way, this is all general rule of thumb. 5 times of your critical illness is all also based on logic. Why I say logic is because, why I say 5 years is also because let's say if you have critical illness and you're not able to work for the next 5 years, or maybe you want to take a leave, you want to move away from work for the next 5 years, or maybe you want to look for other jobs that are not that taxing on you. So maybe you may need a few years to accommodate arrangement. So you may want to have at least 5 years of your income to be protected. Okay, yeah, so this is something that you can think of, maybe 3 to 5 years, depending on your skill and depending on your desire, I would say. Okay, and then last but not least is death and TPD. Okay, death and TPD, this is a very, very subjective thing. The general rule of thumb is 10 times, but it all comes down to like finding out, not finding out, like you definitely know how old is your youngest kid, but you know, a good way of thinking it is like how many years you need to support them until they can make their they can earn their own money and be self-sufficient. Okay, so it can be 10 years, it can be 15 years, it can be it can be, it will vary. Okay, because the whole idea is to if you're not around, touch wood, if you're not around, at least they can still continue with their current lifestyle, and also they can actually achieve the milestones or the destination that you have planned out for them. All right, so insurance is actually quite logical, actually, if you ask me. It's a lot easier than investments, because everything is black and white. Everything is at least the coverage part is actually guaranteed, so it's actually a lot easier to calculate how much do you really need.
From your point of view, how often should parents, in a sense, review this all this policy? A yearly basis, or what, 5 years once? Every time I change career, what's your advice?
Depending on who, when you talk about policy review, are you reviewing on your own, or you review it with an insurance agent or financial planner or someone that's an intermediary? Personally, I like to review my own finances every 6 months. Okay, personally. Okay, which you can also do it if, let's say, if you really want to go into this. Is basically the monitoring part, which is topic number 5. But since you have asked this, personally, I like to do it every 6 months. However, I don't really think you should change so often, especially insurance, because insurance is like once you purchase a plan and then if you surrender it, you are in the losing side unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay, so never surrender your policy unless it's absolutely necessary. For example, like the medical part, the medical card portion. There are old policies that medical cards only cover like 90,000 annual limit or 60,000 annual limit. I've seen medical cards like that, and these medical cards they can't really how to say, they can't really top up already. These are the old medical old insurance policies. So those kind of insurance, then no choice, you have to surrender it and then get a new one. Sorry, the sequence is get a new one first, wait until the waiting period is all over, and then surrender it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So it really depends, and what you brought up is actually correct lah, which is when there is a major change in your lifestyle. Okay, when I say major change, is maybe a newborn, or maybe you have changed into a significant role. There's a that means you have either get an increment, or maybe you can got back then since last year onwards, we have heard a lot of news about VSS, MSS, or like what mandatory. Oh, I can't remember, surrender scheme or something like that. Basically, gonna chopped by company lah. Okay, so sorry to say that, but I can't think of a proper word.
Voluntary or mandatory separation scheme.
Separation. Oh, was it separation? Okay, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I remember the VSS, MSS. But anyway, yeah. So if there is any huge or major change in your career or your income, then probably it's really time to look into your insurance policies. Yep. Okay, and if there's nothing with insurance, then I'll go to accumulation. All right, so here comes the investment part, the accumulate part. So remember, accumulate is like to make sure that you have enough gas or enough fuel to travel from one milestone to the next milestone. Okay, I'm not going to talk a lot about how investment works, and I'm not going to talk a lot about investment vehicles or the investment asset class. What I'm going to talk about in this section is actually on the idea or the concept of investment. Okay. Number one is you want to identify your risk tolerance. So if you're someone that can't bear with a drop of 20% in your portfolio, don't go into crypto. Don't go into highly volatile asset class like cryptocurrencies or whatnot. Okay, so this is actually the first thing that you really need to think about lah. Okay, why? Is because it will not just affect your financial progress or your financial health, it can also affect your mental health, hopefully not. Okay, every day, I think I just saw a news report yesterday saying that Malaysians check their investment portfolio at least once a week during times like this. So they may be anxious, like what to do, right? So if you cannot take it, then don't do it. But let's say if you can really do it, if you really can take it, there are plenty of choices to invest in. Like I say, you don't really have to invest actively. What you need to do is just to have enough understanding of where you're putting your money into, and just have faith. Even though the have faith part sounds a bit like don't care, but it's actually very important that you invest in vehicles that is actually approved by the Securities Commission of Malaysia, because they have actually companies like this will actually need to be audited and also need to report. So there's no hanky-panky stuff that that they don't report to their shareholders or to their investors. Okay, so always look for approved fund houses or approved investment vehicles so that you can save all the trouble. Even though you may think that it doesn't give you 2% return every month. There are schemes like that out there. But it saves you a lot of trouble. Okay, so that's number one, risk tolerance. Number two is to diversify. Okay, so if you are investing into a funds, very likely they are already diversified, and probably you want to diversify, meaning that you don't just buy only one company. So let's say if the company A go bankrupt or went into liquidation, at least not 100% of your money is missing. So if you want to diversify, you can actually get into funds, not necessarily unit trust. You can also go into investment. Is a lot easier right now. There are so many robo advisors, approved robo advisors already. So you can also put your money into robo advisors like StashAway, Wahed if you're Muslim. There's also MyTeo. There's also there are quite a few lah. Okay, so it's actually very easy right now. It's just like as easy as opening a bank account already. No, opening a Facebook account already. It's very simple. Okay, next is multiple portfolios. This is something that I want to highlight a bit. It's slightly different from diversify. Diversify, it means diversify across different asset classes. However, every diversification you want to have different portfolios for different milestones or objectives. So coming back to the map again, the adventure map, remember there are different milestones along the way. So multiple portfolios are, you want to create a portfolio for this milestone and this milestone and this milestone. Why do you want to create multiple different portfolios for different milestones? Is because each milestones have different time horizon. Okay, time horizon meaning that your children may not want to study next year, but they may need to study the 15 years later. However, you want to purchase a new home next year, okay, or 5 years later. So every single milestone will have a different time horizon, and every different time horizon have a very different approach to it. So if the time horizon is very far away, let's say the destination is very far away, you can afford to take a little bit more risk. Okay. However, let's say if your milestone is very near, you may not want to take that much risk already. Because let's say if you put into something that's volatile, and then whenever you want to take the money out, the market just tank, and you don't know whether you want to cut loss or do you want to fulfill your milestone or not. Then that puts you in a very awkward situation that you don't know whether should you do this or not. Okay. So having multiple portfolios for multiple milestones is very important. So knowing your why is still the most important thing, because you will know how many portfolios do you need. Okay, so this is something that
Marshall, I have one question from the Facebook group from Kimberly. Her question is it good to do multiple investment? I have property, FD, medical insurance, but didn't invest in mutual funds or savings funds. Then do you have any good education funds to introduce?
Okay, like I say, I'm not going to share anything about products. I'm so sorry, Kimberly, right? Kimberly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to share anything about products especially on Facebook lah, because everyone is different. If you want, you can write an email to me later. I'll share my link later.
Yes.
But you should look at different types of investment assets. Okay, I'm not saying that you must invest in unit trust. Okay, but you should look into different types of asset classes. For example, when I talk about asset classes, it's all about this point: diversify. You want to invest in probably in equities. You want to invest in bonds. You want to invest in different geographical locations. You want to invest in properties, or you can also choose to invest in REITs fund. REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. So it's like unit trust for properties. Okay. So yeah. So to answer your question, yes, you should definitely diversify, but it all comes down to what is your objective. Because I do not know your objective right now, I do not know what to recommend to you. So to be fair, I really need to understand where you're coming from first.
So Kimberly, get in touch with Marshall. I'll share the link in the comment box. Get in touch with Marshall and let him support you in this.
Okay. Yeah, sure. All right. Well, I've finished multiple portfolios already, and last but not least, automate this. And this is also links back to my point number 3 in the income part. So what you want to do is, let's say if you're not someone that really wants to actively manage your investments, my suggestion is actually to automate it. Don't think too much. So what happens is, let's say if your income comes in, you want to set a standing instruction that this money will go into certain accounts. Okay, so let's say if you have a, you know, you have different, I suggest that you have different bank accounts, so that whenever your money comes into your so-called employment account, okay, you want to automatically bring it to somewhere else. Okay, don't make this as your saving or current account, because it may look like, if you may tend to overspend, because when you see that there is money, then you may want to overspend. Sometimes, there's so many promotion nowadays, Shopee, Lazada, things may not look that expensive, but if you add it up, it will still amount to something. So the idea is actually to automate it. So once the amount comes in, maybe you can set a standing instruction like every 7th day of each month, okay, depending on when you get your salary or when you get your income. Okay, on the 7th day of each month, you want to take maybe X percentage out to a fixed deposit, or you want to take X percentage out to robo advisors, or you want to take X percentage out to unit trusts or mutual funds, things like that. So what you want to do is, because nowadays, especially after COVID happened, a lot of things are all online already, or a lot of approaches we can actually do it, a lot of instructions we can actually do it online already. So it's a lot more easier to to automate your finances. So once you automate it, you don't really have to look at it anymore already. So maybe from time to time you see, you check back, I got so much, but don't act on it lah. Okay, but it's a pleasant, that feeling of suddenly realizing that you have this amount of money is actually quite nice. Personally, I felt it. Okay, yeah. So that's how one should look at accumulation. Okay, next is on distribution. On distribution side, I'm going to confess that I'm not the expert, because I don't really look into estate planning in detail. However, there are certain rules that I really need to highlight. The rules are such. Okay, number one, you need to identify your assets. Okay, having a proper estate plan helps you to identify the right assets, and then setting the right amount to each asset. And then it's also quite important to pass the right person to the distribute the right asset with the right amount to the right person at a right timing and a right way. Okay, so let me know if you really want to know more about wealth distribution, because I'll definitely get I don't know whether maybe I'll get my colleague in to explain to you more about this, okay, on wealth distribution. All right, so that's actually point number 4, PAD: protect, accumulate, and also distribute. Next, the last part is actually more on monitoring. This is actually the periodic check to ensure everything is on track. Okay, so just now Chiling have actually asked the question on during the protection part, how often should you check your insurance policy? Personally, not just insurance policy, I check everything every 6 months. Okay, not really at exactly 6 months lah, but what I will do is I will block a time, and then whenever a weekend preferably, and then I'll run through the numbers. Okay, so how do I monitor it is like this. Number one, I will still find out that my why is still relevant. Okay, once you have the map, the adventure map, it doesn't mean that everything is fixed already, fixed in stone. Maybe along the way you may want to change certain things. Maybe certain milestones you want to push it earlier, or maybe push it further. Okay, and then the final destination, sometimes I have that experience of maybe I became a bit greedy. I want to expand my like final destination, like make it more comfortable. Okay, so always ask yourself the why, whether is it still relevant or not. Okay, because it's very important. This is where the part that, because you're the captain of the ship, you're the CEO of your family, you have to always know that, you have to always know what is the objective that you want to achieve. Treat this as a how I see it, maybe just personally, I treat my personal finance as my business as well. I look at it from a business point of view. I always have an objective that I want to achieve. Okay, so that's how I monitor it. Number one, why? Number two is net worth. So net worth is pretty straightforward. If I mentioned, you want to know where you are right now, okay, so that you can identify the gap. Why you need to know the net worth is because you want to know the how much you want to invest, and also what should you do at this stage. Number three is income. This one is I would say less of a monitoring, but more of like finding out what's next, what is the new skill that I want to learn. Okay, so let's say if I have actually on part number one, on the why, I understand that I know that I want to have a bigger milestone ready, so I should also prepare a bigger sheet. Okay, so to prepare a bigger sheet, I need to improve my income, and to improve my income, I need to improve my skills. Okay, so that is actually a very important part. So you should also, you know, learn, think about what skill have you learned during this period, and also what is the next complementary skill that you want to pick up next. All right, and then last but not least, coming back to PAD, is like you have to ask yourself, are you sufficiently covered? Okay, P. A, are you investing consistently? And also D, are there any changes are there any changes since the earlier arrangement that you have made? So you may return a trust, or you may you may have written a will, or you may have set up a trust. So are there any changes to it? So this whole process, this whole monitoring process, if you have done it, or if you have followed a format like this, it's actually pretty quick. You don't really have to spend too much time on this. Okay, so especially everything is automated, you don't really have to spend a lot of time on this. All right, so yes, so I would like to come back to this slide again. This is the most important thing, because the whole entire presentation it all comes back to this adventure map. Okay, number one is know your why, the milestones, okay, and the destination. Number two is net worth, to identify where you are right now at the moment, okay, so that you can find the distance, and then also how far is it you want to go. Number three is on the income, the size of the boat. Okay, how, if your milestone is very far away, do you want to have a bigger boat or not? To build a bigger boat, you need to improve your skills. And also number four is to number four, there's three parts lah. Part number one, protect, so that you can move to the next destination if anything happens to the captain. And then number two is accumulation, whereby you need to have sufficient energy or sufficient gas or fuel to move from one point to another point. And last is distribution. Once you reach your destination, how do you pass your asset or your experience to your next of kin? All right, so with that, I will end my presentation right now. Yep, so yep, thank you very much. Thanks, Chilling, for this opportunity. So if any of you out there would like to follow me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and also LinkedIn.
Your final slide where you share.
Yeah, this is the final, now the thank you slide. Yep.
Yes, yes. For those of you who are tuning in, you have any questions? Right. Okay. If you have any questions, please type in the group chat. We are at 11:42 a.m. this morning. We do have a little bit of time if you have any questions for Marshall. Now, for children with special needs, right? Because especially when it comes to the protection side, parents tend to worry a little bit more about them getting, sufficiently covered. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I've seen cases like that. So if let's say if a client couldn't get any insurance, my next advice is actually to prepare a fund, a portfolio. Remember the different portfolio for this exact purpose. Of course, this portfolio is unlike any other expenses that you can actually somehow calculate. You somehow can identify the current expenses, and then using the inflation and calculate the future value is not the same. This portfolio, sad to say, is that is very hard to calculate. Okay, because you do not know medical expenses is a lot. First things first, they may not be that transparent. And second thing is, it ranges from mild symptoms to huge or very serious treatments that needs to be done. So my advice is actually constantly save save an X% of amount. So for example, if you're paying 10% of amount to insurance, then maybe you want to save 10% of your income to this particular fund for the rest of your life, probably. So
Right.
that it's not as easy to calculate as as any other goals out there.
Okay. So how about, okay, so does it kind of like apply, like you said, because your concept of having multiple portfolio kind of like strike me in, you know, some of the gurus lah who teach us about investment, you have like different tabung for different purposes. So for this portfolio, I think it works the same way. Probably one fund for houses, one fund for medical, one fund for your child. Let's talk about, because we talk about financial planning, there's also about the legacy component where you talk about distribute. How difficult it is to say set up a trust fund for a child?
How difficult is it? Actually, to set up a trust fund it doesn't really matter whether you set it up for a child or set it up for your entire family or whatnot. But setting out a trust, especially for children with special needs, is actually very, very important, because having a will alone is not enough. As you may or may not know, a will only activates when someone passes away. Okay. However, a trust fund will actually kickstart when an event was triggered, and this event can be set by you. So for example, let's say if because there are also cases whereby someone may have a stroke and may not be able to do anything. Okay, or you met with a stroke and may not be able to do anything. A will not kickstart until that someone passes away. However, trust, you can actually set the triggered event, and then if let's say if you can't, if you are met with a stroke and then whatnot, trust fund can actually, the trust company can actually kickstart the process. And then also the very important thing is the trust company will actually manages your money as per your wishes, as per your instruction, and then periodically, fund your children's your children's needs, depending on your instruction.
Right. Okay. So in your journey, right? How many parents, come to you when we talk about, financial planning?
Okay,
Yeah, not really, because I know your age group, right? Your age group is still very young, right? Some parents may feel not comfortable talking to a young fella who is not married, who don't understand my commitment. Do you have that kind of challenge working with parents?
That's where I have to be very frank with you, Chiling, is that I don't really have a lot of clients with children. Okay, I have to be very frank with you. Even if they are very, very young children, still in their infancy stage, or maybe at the oldest, I think is 2 years old. Okay. So a lot of them are still planning for their own first, because I also want to emphasize this, even though you're already a parent and you may have certain commitments, but always focus on yourself first. This is something that is very, very important that I also want to point out, because if you plan everything to your you prepare everything to your children or what, but the most important thing is you need to remember that you're still the captain of the ship. You're still the CEO of the company. If you don't plan for yourself, anything happen to your if there's anything happen to your children, maybe you can still handle maybe you need to look for a second job, or maybe you need to think of another way of coping with the problem that's facing by a kid. But if anything that's happened to you, your children can't actually help you or support you in that way. So always, even though it may sound a bit selfish, but always think of yourself first. Always plan on your own finances first. I think this is actually very important.
Right. Okay. So it's interesting that you say that some of your clients, even though they're parents, you probably have very young children. So when should parents start planning?
Before they are even a parent, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's why I said I want to move from a fee-based financial planner to a no fee, no commission-based financial planner, is because I feel that financial planning is very important, and it's not necessary just for the rich people that needs to plan their finances. I would say anyone in any stages of life should also plan their finances already, as long as you are not, if as long as you don't want to be dependent on your parents anymore already. At that stage, I think you should also think of planning your finances already. It's just that whether you want to engage a professional, or you can actually, believe me or not, you can actually learn how to do financial planning through the courses that I've mentioned earlier. So you don't really need to go through a financial planner. I have to be very frank, even though it's like, that's what I do, why I say something like that. But yeah, I have to be very frank. Financial planning, you can also pick up courses. You can also, go for financial planning, proper financial planning courses, that was taught by lecturers, or taught by professionals. Uh, you know, so financial planning should start when you don't want to rely on your parents anymore, which I really hope everyone should do.
Right. Then my next question, which one should I focus first?
Mm-hmm.
Because especially for parents with children with special needs, right? The money are being stretched everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A child may need medical attention, a child may need therapy services, a child may, I mean, if my child has special needs, I probably need to plan about their education. I should be also working on protection, there's so many things, but I only have that limit of income per se. So what would you suggest?
Okay, so the answer is actually the entire slide. Number one, understand your why. Number two, find out where you
Still
are right
why?
now. Yeah, still why. Find out your why. Your why may not be your dream, your why could be the small milestones at the beginning. Okay, don't think of why as the final dream. Okay, that's very important, but it's also very important to find out what you need to handle it right now. So your why could be to save at least 6 months of your emergency fund. That can also be a why. I mean, that's a milestone. Sometimes we take for granted that small things doesn't really matter, but emergency fund is also very important, especially last year we have seen so many people that went through the whole period of job cut, salary cut, right? So don't think that maybe if I paint it wrongly, maybe I paint it in a very large scale, but why can also be as small as starting to save up 6 months of emergency fund. It can also start to save your start saving on your, just now like what you mentioned, that the medical fund. Okay, let's say if your kid can't really get insurance, maybe you should also start with the medical fund. Okay, these are small things, and these are still the why. Okay, so to answer your question, which should come first is actually identify what's really ahead of you first. If you think that the future is very far away, then maybe don't think of it. Maybe perhaps I painted the picture in a very big, a very large scale. But you can also plan the why for the next 5 years, and then in 5 years, what are the smaller milestones that you want to achieve? So that is, I would say, that is actually something that's still very important. Number one, emergency. Number two, maybe your children's medical fee. So this varies from person to person. So yeah, I'm happy that you bring this up. At least I can share a little bit more. But sometimes maybe I don't walk everyone's life. Okay, so you just need to maybe you need to prompt me, and then I can also give you some of my thoughts lah. Yeah,
Right,
so
cool.
this is actually very important. It's very important during the
Yeah.
client interview process because I will actually need to ask the questions and to figure out more about the client. So just now why I don't really talk about products is because I don't really know the client. I don't know, do they have the emergency fund already or not? If you don't have emergency fund, I'm not going to recommend you any education fund, because that is like way down, many years down the road. However, the emergency fund is right now.
Right.
So that's why I don't, as a financial planner, proper financial planner, we don't really talk about products.
Yeah. So let's go to that question. So let's say a parent is interested in engaging in a financial planner. You want to walk through us like briefly what will be covered, what will be discussed, and at least an idea for parents if they are planning of engaging a financial planner.
Okay. Even before engaging a financial planner, there is this process called the discovery meeting. Okay, in a discovery meeting, it's like what I've mentioned, I will ask the questions. Okay, ask the questions like where you want to go. Actually, about the same questions that I've presented just now. Okay, in the 5 steps. Okay, where you want to go, where are you right now? Okay, well, how much can you commit to it? Okay, so let's say if your goal is very huge, then are you willing to commit to work more to it? Are you going to build a bigger ship? Okay, so these are the questions. In the discovery meeting, it's more to get to know the client. And then at the same time, client can also get to know us, because every financial planner is different. Like I mentioned in the earlier rule, every financial planners are different. My way of doing things may be suitable for some people and may not be suitable for the rest. Okay, so it's more of a getting to know session whereby financial planners and also clients get to choose each other. It's like a matching program or matching meeting. Okay, and then once that is done, the client is okay with the financial planner. Then financial planner will start gathering information. Of course, in the middle, before that, definitely there will, like I said, there will be fees involved. And I also mentioned I haven't transitioned to that point yet where I can do 0 fees, but there will be a fees involved. And to engage a fee-based financial planner, there will be an upfront fee because we don't take commissions. Okay, so reason why we don't take commissions is because we don't want to be influenced by selling products instead of giving proper advice. Okay, so we take a fee, and then after that we'll gather information. So this information is actually very important. Number one is also for regulatory purpose. We need to make sure that our advice is correct, so that we need to gather it's just like a company audit. Okay, so we need to audit whether everything is correct, and then we don't just take whatever that's mentioned out by client. So sometimes clients say, I got about I think 200,000 in EPF lah. I think something like that. So we cannot take figures like that. We really need to look at the report just to back it up. So it's a lot more yeah, it's more, how to say, a lot more factual. So basically, we as financial planners, we really need to crunch the numbers. And then after that, gathering the information, financial planners will need to go back and study and find out how do they use their current financial position to meet their objectives. Okay, if there is a problem, then we will highlight to them what's the problem, how far is it. So sometimes the gap may be too huge, whereby they need to buck up on their income, or they need to buck up on saving more. Okay, so not many financial planners will talk about the income part, because income sometimes everyone is different. As financial planners, we are very unlikely that we can help them to improve their income. However, from my point of view is like what I've shared, is to actually improve on your skill. And then it's basically a two-way thing, whereby the client should also buck up on their skills and also on their income, so that they can meet their objective. If not, if really cannot, we need to pull down the objective really. So of course we need to show them proof. And then once that's done, once we identify the gap, we present it to the client, and then we find solutions. So solutions such as just now the income part, and then also solutions such as from the product side of things. So the product side of things, what kind of product do you need? What kind of solutions do you need? And then we bring it in and then implement it for the client. And then after that, the implementation part sometimes will also take some time, because certain clients, they are busy with their schedule. Sometimes it's very hard to implement. But once everything is implemented, they can it will be the monitoring process already. So that is the whole process.
So I like how you initially put it, right? There's always this discovery period for you to understand about client, and also for client to know exactly how a financial planner works. I mean, I think it's a lot of that, because you're going to share a lot of financial information is very sensitive to a lot of people. Like, why would I want to tell these people how much money I have? Right?
Yep.
So it's also a lot about trust,
Mm.
believing that the financial planner has that integrity to really be able to advise you, know
Yep.
exactly where you are,
Mm.
and then to support parents in this journey as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, we are moving on to the last bit. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us live. And of course, it being live means you can rewatch it. So please share. And I want to thank Marshall for being here. We will definitely probably do another round, but probably more on the next level when it comes to financial planning, more detailed. For that, probably we'll do a closed group and not so much about live, because live we do share general information, and then probably the closed group we can go a little bit more detailed, more personalized question in that sense. Right. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marshall, for being here. I do hope you guys enjoyed Marshall sharing. I do. I learned so much. Now I have to go back and review.
Yeah. Okay, thanks so much, Shilin, for inviting me here, and I also look forward for your other courses as well.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a good Saturday and take care. See you next round.
Bye bye.